Hi everybody, Mr. Vella here, teacher at LBJ Early College High School. I've been leading these students, making all of this content for you guys on Jag Media. Hope you've enjoyed it thus far. This is a very special episode of our traditional talk show format, Jags Tonight, produced and written entirely by one of my seniors, Nevaeh. Congratulations. There is a content warning. There is talk of self-harm in this episode and what we could do to prevent it. This episode is all about mental health resources, hosted by our regular host, Anet, and our academic counselor, Ms. Aguirre, giving us lots of tips and tricks to better our mental health. If you or a loved one are experiencing a mental health crisis, the suicide prevention hotline is 988, and in cases of extreme emergency, please dial 911 whenever you have a moment. Whether you're a student or an adult, I hope that the following tools, written and developed by our students, can help you breathe a little bit easier. Thank you so much for watching.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Anet, and we're here with one of our counselors, Ms. Aguirre.
Hello, everybody.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So I know that you're making like the schedules for like the freshmen. No trouble there. I'm hoping, because I know like when I had to do it, there's a lot of chaos.
Mm-hmm. There's always unexpected surprises.
Yeah, like forgetting Chromebooks, like deciding maybe I don't want this class, like at the last minute, like last year.
Yeah, but that's to be expected.
So nothing really stressful, hopefully.
There's always situations that you're not sure, and just when you think you've seen it all, then something else pops up. So people have different stories, and so their schedules reflect that.
So how many years have you been like a counselor?
So I have been a school counselor for this would be my 15th year, but I was at an elementary school for 10 years. I was at a middle school for 2 years, and this is my 3rd year here at LBJ.
How are you enjoying it here?
I like it. It's a very nice community. There's a lot of nice people, and I like the school.
What resources does LBJ have for students in need of help?
Well, we're talking about mental health resources.
Yeah.
So for mental health resources, I want to remind y'all that if you need something, myself and Dr. Mendez, we're available. We're there. So I know we're mostly academic counselors, but we also are welcoming of people who need just to talk, just to get something out, or need some advice. So we're your first resource. And then if there's someone who needs some more intense help or just more support in general, we usually refer to, so we have licensed mental health specialists here at school, but we share them. They're district employees, and so they're not just for LBJ. So sometimes we're able to use that resource, and other times we have to refer out for therapy in the community. And so for either situation, we are going to talk to parents because you do need parental consent. And when you're going to go to therapy, then your parents should know what's going on, and we would need to we can help them get set up. Other resources, because sometimes we're stressing because we need other resources. And if that's the situation, then our PSS, Ms. Campbell, she's a great resource to help get kids in touch with other resources that they may need, whether it be financial. Usually that's the issue, is like you need some sort of help with like a bill, your parents need that kind of help, and so it can be very stressful for your whole family as well.
What would you recommend a student to do if they are in need of help, but they're scared of their parents or friends finding out?
Well, I understand sometimes we don't want to let people know we need support, but we all need support sometimes. And so first of all, I really hope you know that everybody needs support, so it's nothing to be embarrassed about. But there's a phone number, 988, that is a crisis phone number, and it's for suicides. It's a suicide hotline, but it's also if you're just needing to talk to somebody. You don't have to be at that point. And you can call, you can text, you can chat, you can do all sorts of things. If you look it up on the website, just if you just Google 988, it will give you all sorts of information. It'll tell you what to expect. So like if you call or you text, it's not like the counselor's not gonna pick up first thing. It's gonna tell you what to expect. And so it's just a few little steps, but that way you know. So, because it can be kind of nerve-wracking when you're calling, especially when you're feeling pretty upset about something and don't know what to do, or even texting. And so that is a way that you can get some help without having to tell anybody if you're at that point. But I do want to encourage you, if anyone is ever feeling like they need some support, the best thing you can do is talk to someone that you trust. You know, and if you are feeling suicidal, you definitely want to talk to somebody, because there was a news article. I used to live in San Francisco, and there was I'll never forget, I read, there was this whole article, and it was very interesting because they had interviewed some people who had jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge. Now, if you jump off the Golden Gate Bridge, it's because you're trying to kill yourself. It's not because you just think that would be a pleasant thing to do. And so, sadly, most of the people died. But the ones that survived, that they were able to interview, all those people said that the minute they jumped, they wished they hadn't. That was the first thing they thought, they wished they hadn't. And if they had just gotten through that moment, because that's what it is when you're feeling that way, is a moment in time. It could be a long moment. But if you can get past that, you will definitely, you can get some help. Things will even out for you eventually, but with support. But the most important thing you can do is to trust someone so that you can get that help that you need.
How can students create a healthy school life balance, like for their students?
Well, I think one of the most important things to do is to prioritize. And so you want to think about what are those things that are the most important. You know, like try to visualize, I like this experiment, I wish I had the visuals here, but try to visualize like your life is like rocks, pebbles, and sand, okay? And like picture you have like a big old bucket, right? If you start throwing all the sand in there, then you could run out of room for those big old rocks, right? But if you put the rocks in first, and then the pebbles, and then the sand, you generally can make it all fit. So the rocks are the most important things. They're those big things you need to do first. Those are the things you need to figure out, when am I doing those first? Use a calendar. Schedule, when am I going to do those things? And then you fit into pebbles. Okay, these are the smaller things. They're not quite as important. Where are those going to fit? And then at the last is the sand. That's the, okay, I want to just go do this for fun, or I just want to do that, or things that aren't that important. Where do you sprinkle those in? But you've got to start with the big things, right? And I'm not saying that social or that personal is not big. Sometimes it is, right? Like maybe family time is one of those rocks. Or maybe a big, something that you're, you know, like prom. Maybe that was a rock, right? But you've got to put the important things first and prioritize those so that you have room. And definitely your studies should be rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any like coping methods for like anxiety or stress you can maybe tell us?
Oh, there's all sorts of things, and I want you to know that what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another, so you kind of have to play with different things and see what works for you. But one of the things that I love, love, love is breathing. And I know that sounds dumb.
The breathing exercises.
But breathing exercises, they are really important. Yeah. And it's something you can do anywhere. You don't need tools. You don't need anything. You can be doing it and no one even has to know that you're doing it. But what it is like, you know, just some deep breathing. And usually it's in through your nose and out through your mouth. And it's good if you make yourself think of something. Like there's this whole thing called square box breathing. You know, and again, these are tools that you can visualize once you have it down in your head. But, you know, like you're thinking to yourself, like breathe in. And you count to 4. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. Right? And so you're not saying it, you're thinking it, right? But what you're doing is you're giving your brain something to think about other than what's freaking you out. Yeah. Right? And while you're doing that, you're also getting you're getting oxygen to the part of your brain that can think, which is in the front of your brain. You see, when you're freaking out, when you're anxious or you're really upset, a lot of that oxygen is going to the back part of your brain, to the more primitive part of your brain that it responds, right, into fight, flight, or freeze. And that's why you literally cannot think when you're scared or you're anxious, which anxiety is kind of like fear, right? But if you can get yourself breathing and calm yourself down, that oxygen comes to the part of your brain that can actually think. And then you can solve your problem, right? Or at least come to a next step. Whereas if you're in that freaking out phase, you know, Like even in a test, you could be freaking out, your mind's blank. It's because you're in freeze. You're not getting the oxygen where you need it. So breathing is one of the things that really, really can be helpful. Movement, walking around, even something like just getting some cold water, looking outside. A lot of times just seeing something natural, some greenery, some animals, something. Music helps a lot of people. Cooking, sometimes even cleaning, there's so many different things that can help you, but really you just have to see what can help you. And then I would strongly suggest trying to find something that works, that you can do anywhere, right? Because like the only flaw with like music is like sometimes you're in some place you can't put music on, right? So that's why I come back to breathing. Journaling's another thing you could do. I mean, I can go on and on about that.
Yeah. I actually learned about the breathing exercises in elementary.
Yeah. There was a big push, and I know I taught a million kids about the brain model, right? And you flip your lid, and if you breathe, you can bring your lid, you can get back the oxygen back to the front of your brain instead of the primitive part back here, your brain stem. So I'm glad you heard about that.
Yeah.
Have you tried it?
Yes, I actually have. In middle school, I like used it a lot because I was like anxious for tests. So I will use that, or sometimes I will just start drawing and like thought about other things, like get back.
You distracted yourself, right?
Yeah.
You got yourself to think about. Yeah. It's not anything difficult. These are simple things that really can be helpful.
Yeah. Sometimes like I've known people who like they will do it like subconsciously because they've just muscle memory at that point.
Yeah, it can definitely help you. And the thing about like for breathing or whatever, I mean, if you practice it, and you're going to feel dorky when you're practicing it.
Yeah.
But if you practice it, then the more you practice it, the more natural it comes to you when you're in that moment of freaking out.
What made you interested in this career?
Well, I was a teacher, and I spent a lot of times, like students would always come in with problems or different things going on, and so I didn't have time to sit and really talk with them because, you got to be teaching, so you really can't just sit and talk to somebody. And so I thought that school counseling would be an opportunity to actually work more with students and talk to them more and be more available. Now, I ended up in academic counseling, which is slightly different, but that's what got me into counseling.
What have you done personally to improve your mental health?
I definitely try to keep the work-life balance in check. And then I'm real careful about trying to do things like sleep. I know if I don't sleep, I'm not going to be my best. You've got to take care of your body before you can be okay mentally. And so like if I try to make sure I get enough sleep, that I know that I have food, snacks. I know that I try to do things like exercise and have something that I'm going to enjoy, like spending some time with my kiddos. I try to do the things that I know that I'm going to just to take care of myself. But also, if I have a lot of things I need to do, then I come up with a plan for how I'm going to get it done. And that helps alleviate a lot of the stress too. If I know how things are going to get done, then it doesn't feel so overwhelming.
And now a random question. Does money buy happiness?
It doesn't necessarily buy happiness, but it can help you meet basic needs, right? I mean, if you're hungry, if you don't have a shelter, then, that's pretty hard to feel real good, right? But once you meet your basic needs, then extra money really doesn't buy extra happiness, So money doesn't buy happiness, but it does facilitate meeting needs.
My thought was maybe at some point it will make you happy, but after some time you'll start feeling not so good about having so much money. Reality will hit you at some point. About how others are feeling and how you have all this money, but you've met all your needs and you're like, I'm at a standstill. There's a fun fact. 50% of mental health problems are established by age 14 and 75% by age 24.
Mental health disorders can start early, that much is true. But I also want people to not worry about getting a mental health disorder. I want you to think more about how to just, what are tools you can use when you're feeling poorly to help you feel better. That's really all it comes down to, right? And so instead of thinking, oh, I have this disorder or that disorder, I want to focus more on what can we do to persevere, right? To get through things, because life's going to throw things at you, and you just have to get through it and move on, and continue on. And you need those tools. You need some tools to help you get through it. And if you have that and support from other people, then you're going to be all right.
I feel like the biggest thing is find someone trustworthy.
That's a good tip. It's a good tip.
Find someone you really, really trust.